Deferred Collusion is back in our first ever off-season episode, free agency preview, whatever you want to call it. We are. What does that say? I can't read it. That was a little fuzzy there, Branden. What does that say?
Yeah, I was cutting out, so I just wrote a sign that said "World Champs," dude. I was just waiting for that audio to come back in, dude. We're back, Jesse. Oh my
It's our
gosh.
first post-World Series episode.
Hey,
Post-World Series.
if life is feeling pretty good, celebrated some birthdays together since then. I didn't get out to the parade, unfortunately. I know you didn't neither, but it looked like a great time. I feel like I was there. It feels good. But
for our followers, our new subscribers, and everybody, have to say, over the weekend, I got to go see you, your lovely daughter, Zenaida. I'm sorry, Zenaida? Am I pronouncing it correctly?
You're not.
Zenaida.
It's Zenaida, but that's okay.
Zenaida.
You're doing your best, and we love you.
She turned 1 year old. You got a lovely birthday party. Happy birthday to Zenaida. Congratulations to you and Marina. It was a lovely little family and friends gathering. And I got to say, Branden, I felt the love from your friends and from your family who were very much like, I felt like I had fans at your little gig. So I very much appreciated it.
You were a hit. It is a multicultural affair at our birthdays, so it was great to have a little deferred collusion at the baby's first birth. So it was a blast. I think I saw the missus. I think I saw Michaela in the jumper for a little bit with the kids, so that was great. That was cool to see.
That sounds like her.
She's very limber. Just flight. It looked like she probably played shortstop. Probably got a cannon on her.
Oh yeah, she got some cannons for sure.
Damn, hey-o. But that's how champs talk around here. The champs do what they want. The two-time champs. You're Los Angeles Dodgers. We're still riding high. We're a little bit of glazers for our hometown favorites. But that does not keep us from talking straight and fair and bringing you the deferred collusion perspective on the offseason, Jess.
Let's keep it neutral as possible and talk about why Roki Sasaki is going to go to the Dodgers. How about that? Does that sound like a good plan?
That is a great place to start. So, Nippon League superstar Roki Sasaki, 23 years old, with some, if you're not aware, electric arm talent. Hits over 100. We've seen him in the World Baseball Classic hit 102. Got a nasty breaking ball off that. They say he's got stuff plus of Yamamoto, but less control. And again, at 23 years old, super young, but an accomplished arm already. And Jesse, it just feels like Ohtani is acquiring the Japanese pitching infinity stones right now, dude. This is insane. I've been reading articles. I'm really tapped in with Dodger Twitter and, the Locked On podcast. Those guys do a great job over there. Shouts out. Locked On Pod, Dodger, whatever. I don't fucking know. Anyways.
No, the Locked On Network is great.
It's great. The whole Locked On Network is great. But yeah, shouts out. Yeah. I've seen that, like, Friedman has met with Sasaki, like, a couple years ago. Like definitely in 2022. Was out there, and who's this kid? Like, I was trying to learn about him. They were like, to be honest, when I first heard about Yamamoto, I thought we were talking about Sasaki a couple years, or last 2 years ago, before the World Baseball Classic. But yeah, it was just incredible now to see this kid. Now, I'm sorry, this young man. I shouldn't call him a kid. Getting
he is.
How do I say getting released from his team? In Japan?
So it's interesting because he was posted by his team, and it sort of seems like he kind of made a little bit of leverage play here because, like Yoshinobu Yamamoto, if Sasaki had just waited 2 years till he's 25 years old, he could have basically essentially entered free agency like he was Juan Soto this offseason. Like, he doesn't have to follow the 6 years of service time that MLB rookies have to follow in order to be eligible for their first contract or their first extension or whatever. the Oryx Buffaloes decided to post him, and there's obviously a lot of speculation as to why that happened, because Yamamoto,
Yamamoto
the
was
Cheetah
the
Lotte
Oryx.
Marines.
There you
the
go.
Cheetah Lotte Marines posted him.
And real quick, I just
reason
want to
why
say that is the dedication to real, true journalism that we strive for always.
No,
at Deferred
there's a reason
Collusion.
why I brought up the Oryx Buffaloes. It's because last year the Oryx Buffaloes posted Yamamoto, but because he was 25 years old, they were entitled to much more money. They could essentially ask for a lot more to release him and to give him the transfer fee.
Yeah, I think
They
the
got
Dodgers. Yeah, go ahead.
50
Sorry.
million.
Yeah,
So they
was
got
it
$50
50?
million.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude, that's a lot of green, dude.
On top of the 320, so Yamamoto, not only did he cost the Dodgers 50 million, then he cost them 325 million for the contract. Here we have Sasaki, who's just going to get a rookie contract. He's going to get a normal 6-year rookie contract, so he's not going to make a lot of money. Shohei did something similarly when he went to the Angels, where he got posted early. It was a $2.3 million signing bonus. So the Dodgers are allotted a certain amount in signing bonuses, and they actually have more to offer this year than they would next year. So a lot of people are speculating, is that why Sasaki's posting now? Because they would have less money to offer him in terms of an international signing bonus, because right now the Dodgers can actually offer him the most out of any team. They can offer him $2.5 million. And so apparently next year the reason why they take a hit is because they signed Ohtani. So they're actually going to take a little bit of a hit on it. But so it begs the question, why did the Chiba Lotte Marines agree to post him here when they could have just waited 2 years and then they could have taken a $50 million transfer fee?
Well, Jess, there's been some rumblings that a part of the agreement for Roki, and this is hearsay. I can't, I wasn't there for any of this, anyways.
Well,
but there was some rumblings that maybe when Sasaki was in high school, that to sign with the Marines, or to commit with them early, a part of his contract was that he let them know that I want to be in the MLB. I want to be on the biggest stage. That's where I see myself. And there's been some talk that maybe this has been kind of in motion for a couple years, at least ever since the World Baseball Classic in 23, where he did shine. There's been a clip of him striking out a Rosarena that's been making the rounds again, where he's just flashing just a nasty, what looks like a slider, 102, just crazy.
It's a cutter. No, I'm sorry. It's a splitter that has cut to it. He throws it. The grip on his splitter is different than how Shohei and Yamamoto throw their splitters. His splitter actually, normally right-handed splitters go arm side. They break arm side. His breaks to the opposite side.
Just
so
video
it almost
game
breaks
shit.
In a curveball, which is so bizarre, but it's a really devastating pitch.
Video game shit. So, those guys win a World Baseball Championship a couple years ago. I don't know how many times I've said that, but they win the championship a couple years ago. Pretty incredible stuff. A part of me feels like maybe Sasaki's there's nothing really left for me to prove here. I see what my old teammates are doing, not just Shohei and not just Yamamoto, who obviously won the World Series this year, but Imanaga had a great year, looking like, one of the, I think he was up there for Cy Young for almost 3/4 of the year, half the year. He's out in Chicago. Yu Darvish, Japanese pitching legend out there in Japan, who was adamant that the Padres go after Yamamoto, go after Ohtani. They missed on them, so maybe they don't miss with Sasaki, trying to court him over. And then maybe there's the allure of, the Yankees with, Tanaka and stuff like that, some of the lore of the past. But that was
they
then,
also had
dude.
Ichiro on the team for a little bit, too.
Totally. So I guess you could even say maybe Seattle's in play. But
correct.
Vegas is
I
money,
think
and
to your point, we're going to go over this. Chicago is interesting too, and for obvious reasons, but we'll get to it. Continue. But you mentioned Imanaga, and they also have Seiya Suzuki. So I
yeah,
do think that they are potentially a suitor as well.
yeah, and I'm forgetting the guy's name in Boston right now. Fielder, whatever. It doesn't matter. Maybe I'm tripping.
Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Yeah, this is not a. Hey, we're not a Red Sox podcast, Brandon.
No, we're in off season mode. We've been floating
Yeah.
a little bit.
We are.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a school night for me. But anyways, my point was, there's other options, but
Masataka Yoshida.
there we go. My point is that there's a lot of these guys that were on that team that are not just over in the MLB, the big stage, but they're having like outstanding seasons. And I think he's kind of feeling like maybe a big fish in a small pond. And dude, I've been 23. I've been fired up and cocky as hell and kind of going, you know what? I got enough money right now. I don't fucking, this wasn't me saying it, but I could imagine a competitor like him going, you know what? I got the money. I want the glory now. I want to either, my betting thing is he wants to go be a part of the greatest Japanese pitching trio of all time with Ohtani and Yamamoto and go try and win, 10 World Series in 10 years. Obviously it's not going to happen, but you get my point. And the way the Dodgers have positioned themselves with Ohtani's contract, they scarily have the resources to do it. And if you think about that for a second, because they're going to also be able to offer Sasaki, hey, a lot of teams are going to want you to acclimate to a 5-man rotation. We're going to do a 6-man rotation here in LA, which is on the West Coast. You have better weather. You're going to have access to sponsors that you're not going to have in maybe Seattle or wherever else in the, whatever other the 30 teams might offer you. And
I think that's important here.
And it all creates this package that's like, yeah, maybe you're only going to get this, league minimum for the first couple of years. But by the time you hit free agency at 29, you might be, a $400 million pitcher or whatever,
Here's what I think people are missing about this, and I saw some other podcasts bringing this up, is the fact people are speculating, like, there's something fishy going on. Why would the Marines allow Sasaki to be posted early? They lose so much. There's no financial incentive for them to do this.
Yeah.
They have all the leverage. They can wait it out. Yes, on the surface of things, you're right. One thing to consider, this is a very honor-based country. They might feel like they are culturally different. They might feel like they owe something to Sasaki, that, they made like a promise to him or something, or he says, I don't want to play here anymore. They might feel obligations to that. You have to consider that at face value with a culture like Japan. They're very different than in America. They are much more of an honor-based society than we are. Yeah, so that's one. Now, even if that weren't true here, what were you going to say?
I do got one little collusion-y hypothesis. Sasaki's velocity had ticked down a couple miles per hour this last year.
You're getting to my point here.
So yeah. I wonder if maybe he senses a surgery needing to happen down the road or something like that. And maybe he thinks sorry, go ahead, take over.
No, yeah. I think I'm on the same page. Or it's like, hey, I maybe saw like a downtick in my velo. Like, I'm not going to keep taking the risks now. If I have to get like Tommy John surgery in the next year or two, why would I do it now when and then what, I'm going to get posted when I'm coming off of Tommy John at 25 years old? I'm not going to get that $50 million signing bonus. I'm not going to get it. So he might. Now, look, that's total speculation. That's like fear-mongering of the ninth degree. Like, we're not 100% sure of that at all.
Yeah, we're talking to Q on that one, dude. That's that's our source.
If you velo dip like that, to your point, you're like, hey, I want to go somewhere now where, A, I'm going to be able to compete while my arm is at the fucking highest level that it's going to be in my life. But B, also, I'm going to go be with, like, the best medical teams in the world. I'm going to go be with the best pitching development teams in the world. I'm going to go be with, like, major leaguers in these formative years of my 23, 24, 25, very important years for a major leaguer's career. So I think that that's important, but also there's a chance here that there's some back end deal going on for the Chiba Lotte Marines, because
Some
the
collusion.
Dodgers can't do anything. They would clearly be risking a lot by like putting some sort of like a cash deal under the table for the Marines, right? To post a
Well,
Marine or whatever that
there's
signs him.
there's no evidence to suggest that the Guggenheim group operates like that. If this was
They
Frank
don't need
McCourt,
to.
I would say definitely. But yeah, like I was saying, dude, they've positioned themselves to be this ultra attractive location where it's
But
like if you're
yeah,
leaving because you feel like, hey, I got a shot to be great right now, and I'm gonna maybe let it all eat. Hey,
yeah.
have to get a little cleanup surgery. I'll be back a year later, and then 2027, I'm back throwing 102, whatever.
Right. But what if you're the PR group that manages Sasaki? You can make a deal with the Marines and you say, "Hey, like he's going to make these endorsement deals over here. What if we cut you guys a percentage?" I don't know how the contracts work over there,
Yeah,
but I did
that's
see some other
possible.
podcasts speculating about that, so I'm going to throw it out there as a possibility that that could be part of it, that they're going to be working with like other Japanese companies. I'm sure these Japanese companies have some tie to the,
Yeah,
to the
I'm
Japanese league.
sure if you're listening to this podcast, you probably watched the World Series, and I'm sure you saw more than you're used to the amount of Japanese ads, in the background, going, "Oh shit!" And it's just a little
Yeah.
bit of that Shohei effect. As Dodger fans, we've seen it all year, and not just noticing that, but the demographic at the park. There's way more Japanese, just Asian fans in general. It's really cool, and it's cool to see the stadium doing different nights and a lot of different Hispanic heritage nights from
Yeah.
friggin' El Salvadoran to friggin' Guatemalan. It was cool, but yeah, it's a really incredible time. And Jess, I just was kind of thinking to myself, like, how rad would it be if the Dodgers got all these Japanese stars together and they have all this success, and then they fucking hate each other, dude. They break up like the Beatles, and they go to different teams, and they all just start fucking battling,
I mean,
dude.
we are entering like the Samurai Dodgers era right now, and
I coined it,
if I
dude.
know I said it, not I said it this time. But I mean, it's kind of true that if this happens, if we get Sasaki, it's going to be a major storyline of this team. The fact that 3 of the 6, because the Dodgers are likely to go to 6 or 7-man rotation, 3 of the 7 starting pitchers, 8 starting pitchers the Dodgers throwing out there are like the biggest superstars in Japan. What really this says to me, if the Dodgers do get Sasaki, is that they have a long-term plan of cornering the Japanese market and making the entire nation of Japan Dodger fans. And the value of that cannot be quantified in a way that like you or I can even comprehend, because baseball is borderline bigger in Japan than it is in America. Keep that
Well,
in mind.
I would say that baseball right now is bigger in Japan
Yeah.
than it is in the States. Just because a little bit less people, you're on an island, and
Yeah.
the historian Dan Carlin uses this phrase in his audio book series or audio whatever biography, whatever, but it called like the Supernova in the East. It's about like Japan pre and during World War II. But he says
Yeah.
that the Japanese are just like everyone else, except more so. And their dedication to baseball, and dude, the way that you're
Yeah.
churning out pitchers and just like it's insane. This like level. It seems that that Japanese national team was in the World Baseball Classic was just they had this extra gear, and now getting to see Yamamoto for a year, seeing what Otani can do now just as a hitter was incredible.
Yeah.
Creating the 50-50 club. Dude, it's an unprecedented era for Japanese athletes in baseball, and I just would say Asian athletes in sports. It's really rad. It's a really cool
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. I'm interested in that book. You make me want to read that book now. But
Yeah, when I was
the
working
interesting
in commercial agriculture, I would throw in my audiobooks, and it was one of his like it's like a 4 or 5 parter, maybe I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 parts, but they're like 3 hours, 4 hours long each. They're just these
I love
pretty
that.
detailed little tomes. But yeah,
Dude, I'm
it's
fascinated by
incredible.
Japan.
Oh
I'm
yeah, dude.
fascinated by Japan. I've never been there. And my wife has been there. You've been there. I've never been. I've always wanted to go. I'm
We should
considering
go
a
to a
little trip
game,
for
dude.
opening day.
We should go.
Considering an opening day trip.
We should go to a
Uh,
game.
yeah, but Sasaki, we don't know yet. Let's make it be. I want to tell a little story about Sasaki, but before we go to that, where do you think he goes? Do you think he 100% signs with the Dodgers? Do you
I
think
really
there's a
do.
chance he goes to another team? What
I
do you think?
really do, because I wasn't kidding. I've really seen multiple like articles. I've seen pictures of Friedman talking to Sasaki from a few years ago. So I think they're like you were saying. You wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Marines and the Dodgers, Scouts, or whatever has had this little handshake agreement, and now it's kind of coming to, or whatever. But I really do think he goes to the Dodgers. I don't know if anything. I doubt anything nefarious is going on, but it just seems
Yeah,
like the best place to go. And if you're trying to win and win now, and be a part of something great, and like again, bigger than baseball, you're a part of this Otani kind of era in Japan as a Japanese star. Like,
yeah,
dude, you're setting yourself up for life, dude, at
yeah,
23. So I
yeah,
think it's kind of one of those things that, like, maybe at a glance it seems silly to post early, but I think the ultimate goals here for him are again a little bit bigger than baseball, and I think it's a little bit more about like legacy and
win as much now as you can. Yes, with Otani and
absolutely,
Yamamoto. 100% agree with you.
absolutely.
I do want to throw out a couple teams. There is a chance. I do think that the Padres, because of his relationship with Yu Darvish, apparently he's like his mentor. That is a possibility. Problem with that, Darvish is 37, going to be turning 38. He's going to be done soon, most likely. You know, he doesn't have much longer to go. The Cubs are an interesting one. Watch out for the Chicago Cubs in this because they want to get better, but they don't really want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of big free agents would sign with them. Like I think they're out on Fried. I think they're out on Burnes. I think they'll try, but I don't think they'll get him. So Sasaki makes a lot of sense because he's so cheap, and they have Seiya Suzuki and they have Shota Imanaga. So there is a foundation of Japanese presence there
There
that
are
would
some
make it more of
studs.
a natural transition for him, which would make a lot of sense. But I agree. I think it's Dodgers. It just makes the most sense for him to play with Otani, to play with Yamamoto, to build on your legacy, and to be also with the best organization and the best, to develop the best you can, in the best way. But before we move on from Sasaki, incredible story about him that people should know, in case you didn't know, is that his father and his grandparents died in the tsunami in 2011 that hit Japan. So he grew up completely devastated, lost his home, lost his father, lost his grandparents. Just
Damn.
an incredible story of like triumph and perseverance for him as a young boy to where he is now competing for a major league contract. He was 11 years old, 10 years old, 9 years old, whatever it was. Just an incredible
Heartbreaking,
story
man.
for him,
Yeah,
and
that's
to
insane.
go through that and to be where he is now. So
Yeah, that's a guy
it's
that you
somebody,
that's a guy you
whether
want to
you
root
get
for
mad at him for
regardless
signing
where he
with
signs with.
Yeah, if he signs with the Dodgers and you're mad at him for that, just like remember what he's come from, like what he had to go through to where he is
Yeah.
now. Just keep that in mind.
That's insane. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, how could you
Yeah.
not root for a guy like that, dude? Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see him pitch next year, dude.
He's gonna be
Speaking of
electric.
excitement, brother,
Let's do
there's
it.
going to be some studs wearing some new duds this year.
Yeah. So we're gonna be a little. Yeah, we can do like 15 minutes on this. How about that?
Yeah,
You want
however
that?
long. Yeah, we
All
got
right. Yeah.
time. Yeah.
It's the free agency preview, Branden. It's our first ever free agency preview. We started this show when the regular season started, so everybody had already signed. I think
Yeah, we were a
only
little
Blake
late to
Snell hadn't signed, if I believe, by the
No,
time that we
him and
started this show.
Montgomery had not because we started.
Okay, that's
yeah,
what it was. All right, so it was
Yeah.
those two. It was the Boar 4 that were the
Yeah.
Boar 2, I guess.
Yeah.
but we're entering free agency here. We have all the big names, but let's just go through them and give our hot takes here. Let's start with number one.
No, actually, you know
Juan
what, Jess? Why don't we
What?
start? You brought up a guy, Mr. Blake Snell.
Okay, sure.
I'd
Go
like
for
to
it.
start with him.
Okay.
His agent, Scott Boras, had a great one-liner. He said the Snelling salts have worn off of last year's lack of spending, and they can appreciate his talent. I forget what else he said. It was such good cringe. It was just fucking
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
We haven't gotten to Pete Alonso yet. Let's go.
Polar
Yeah,
Pete,
'cause
dude.
that one was even
Fuck,
worse.
It was
Yeah.
better, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so where do you think he goes?
But Snell really showed his worth right after a shaky start. Him and Montgomery really showed us that the preseason matters, spring training matters, and getting your paces in, as they say, is really paramount to getting a good start in this league. But yeah, he went 0-3 with a 9.51 in 6 starts, and in July came back in July and went 5-0 with a 1.23 ERA and 14 starts. I think there's a few teams that really need him, and the first one I want to call out is the Boston Red Sox. Like, how much sense does that make? He would fit. He'd just be at the top of that rotation. Obviously, they need some offense.
Yeah.
But for a team that's desperate to make a splash, I think he makes a lot of sense. But also, another one, a reconnection out in old San Diego.
Oh, wow.
It really felt like San Diego was one pitcher away, right, from being
Yeah.
able to put the Dodgers down. The loss of Joe Musgrove was tough. Who knows what you're going to be able to get out of him next year, if anything at all. And a guy like Snell that, has proven he can go deep all year into the postseason and has the ability on his best days to, give you a damn near perfect game, at least for 7.
Right, at least for like 5 to 6 innings.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
going to. He's going to. He might max out around there. I like the Boston Red Sox shout. I do. I like that a lot. I think they are definitely 100% a team to watch. The problem that I have with Snell is I think he's a guy that, once again, we're going to have to wait on a little bit to see how the market plays out for Sasaki, for Corbin Burnes, and for Max Fried. We have to see the market play out for those guys because those 3 guys are, I think, going to be prioritized over Snell, fairly or unfairly. Whatever you think about Max Fried compared to Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki, who's never pitched a major league game before, whether it's fair or not, Snell does have a little bit of like a stigma around him that he can't go deep in games because he walks a lot of guys. He throws a lot of pitches because he pitches away from contact. He prioritizes strikeouts. He prioritizes walks over hits so that he can get more strikeouts. And that means that he doesn't go very deep into games a lot. He has a lot of 5-inning games where he throws 100 pitches. And it's tough to give a guy like that a 4-year, $100 million deal. It's tough to do it. So I think that teams like the Mets are definitely a team to watch in that regard because if they don't get
I do like
a Corbin Burnes or if they're unable to keep Sean Manaea, because I think they're going to be in on Burnes. I think they're going to be in on Sasaki. We know they're going to be in on Soto, but they need more frontline starting pitching. I do think the Mets are a team to watch once the dominoes fall with Corbin Burnes and Max Fried.
Yeah.
And Sasaki too.
So, where do you think he goes? Just if you got to pick one, where do you think Snell goes?
I mean, I'm looking at this article. I like the Rangers. That's interesting to me because I do think they want to compete still under that Corey Seager contract, and I feel like that's a contract that they can afford, where they're not giving like an 7-year deal to like. Because I don't think Fried or Burnes are going to want to go there, so I do think they're going to have to fall in with that. And with a guy like Snell, I think that's going to be their best option. And I think that they'd be willing to spend the money on a guy like Snell. I do think they're willing to spend money.
Yeah, so. You did get me interested with that Mets. I really do like that for him. But I'm gonna stick with Red Sox. Another guy we were just talking about, Corbin Burnes. obviously got traded from Milwaukee to Baltimore in the offseason. Everybody thought that Milwaukee was punting. They ended up going pole to pole on the year, fucking run the NL Central,
Amazing.
only
I
to
know.
get knocked out by the red hot Mets. Jesse,
And it's funny, it wouldn't have affected their playoff outcome either because they pitched so well in that series.
right?
It wouldn't have made a difference.
It was a Devin Williams blow up in the elimination game. But yeah, I think he's gonna get traded too. But that we can talk about that another time. Corbin Burnes, dude, where do you think he's going? And do you think he gets 200 plus?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's going to get a 6 or 7 year deal, is my guess. Around the 220 range if it's 7, maybe 180 if it's 6. I don't know. This is not my fucking job. If you guys don't like my assessment, I don't blame you. I'm just telling you it's not my job. This one's interesting because I do think the Mets are also going to be in on him too. And I do think the Mets are an amazing fit for Corbin Burnes. I'm only saying Blake Snell to the Mets if they don't get Corbin Burnes. And I think there's a chance that they don't. This is tough. I think the Red Sox are going to make an offer to Corbin Burnes. This is an interesting one, and I'm a little bit confused. Like, I'm not 100% sure. Because I think that the Dodgers could also be in on Corbin Burnes. If Sasaki blows up in their face, he's from Bakersfield. The Sasaki thing could blow up in their face. He could end up going to San Diego or the Cubs or something.
Okay.
They might not want to give out that kind of money to Max Fried. They might not want to give out that money to Max Fried. We know that they're in on big starting pitchers. I don't think it's very likely that the Dodgers would, but I do think they're going to be in on him. Overall, I'm going to pick that he goes to the Mets as well.
Ooh.
I think the Mets are going to make a big splash. Big splash.
I do like that. I feel like I like Corbin Burnes more to the Mets than I like Snell.
Agreed. Oh yeah,
But-
of course. I agree with that. Yeah.
But I think you're onto something. I do think the Mets are going to be after him pretty hard. You know who my dark horse is the San Francisco Giants. They got Buster Posey at the helm now. Or not the helm, but, I think he took over baseball operations for Farhan Zaidi. And I think they're looking to make a splash. And I think establishing...
And he's from Bakersfield.
Yeah. Establishing that battery is going to be
Yeah.
important. And you got Logan Webb. You got Corbin Burnes. You got one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball right there. And now you can fill out the lineup with some bats, I think there is some room for them. I think they will be actually very active in the Juan Soto sweepstakes. They got a lot of money in San Francisco, and that's an organization that's used to winning. And they've been in neutral for the last decade, right?
Yeah.
They haven't had a clear direction. Yeah, they had that one breakout season under Gabe Kapler where they won the NL West. They won, 103 games that year or something crazy, 104 games?
Oh, no, it was 107. The Dodgers won 106.
That's right. It was something insane like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
My point is, I think they're looking to make a splash, and a Corbin Burnes feels like a San Francisco move to me. I don't know. That's my
don't hate
dark
it.
horse pick.
Cubs, too, I think are a dark horse pick. I think the Cubs could be in on Burnes. I don't think they want to spend a lot of money. I think they'd be more willing to spend on Sasaki, obviously because he's so cheap.
Yeah.
But I think that I do think that they would be in on Burnes. I think in terms of dark horses, I don't think it's going to happen. But in terms of if we're going to go dark horse pick, Cubs.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on the Mets, though. I think the Mets need him. They need
It makes a lot of sense.
They need their clear ace, and he would fit nice at the top. And dude, you fill it out with a Manaea, and you get a couple other guys. It's a rotation. It's a good rotation.
Yeah, if they sign Burnes, they're not signing Snell 100%. So if the Mets sign Burnes, Where does Snell go? Oh, you said Red Sox.
Red Sox, baby.
Said Red Sox. Yeah, that makes. There you go. Then he goes to the Red Sox.
Right? See what
Yeah.
I mean?
I like it.
There was another one I wanted to get your opinion on before we got to that big one. So here's one that I don't find interesting real quick. Alex Bregman. He's going to stay with Houston, right? I don't think anybody really wants him. Do you really think he's going to go to Detroit? I don't think. They just got out. They're getting out from under Javi. You know what I mean? I don't think they want to saddle themselves with another aging star, to be honest. I think
there is the AJ Hinch thing in Detroit. He would reunite with AJ Hinch.
They are
Does he
thieves
want
together.
that stench on him? Here's one. I do have one. Toronto Blue Jays. That's a potential fit for Alex Bregman. That's a team that they have been trying to spend money. I'm not saying that they're always good at spending money, but they've been desperately trying to do it. You have George Springer there, so a former teammate of his. You have Vladdy and Bo, who I think if there was one team that I would want to give a redo on the 2024 season, it would be the Toronto Blue Jays. Because the second half, Vladimir Guerrero versus the first half, Vladimir Guerrero are two different players.
Literally,
Vladdy was fucking awesome in the second half. Awesome. And I think that you put a guy like Bregman in there, it makes that. I think that it's a little bit of a desperation play to sign Bregman, only because that's a lot of right-handed bats. He's going to be on the wrong side of 30 pretty quickly, but it makes sense. If there was a team that was willing to overpay on Alex Bregman, I think that the Blue Jays would be one of them.
Jess,
I don't think Bregman would
gotta
go there.
disagree. I gotta disagree.
Okay.
And I could give you two words to explain my point, and that's George Springer. He was a bust of a signing for Toronto. I don't think the Blue Jays have fully digested that bad taste. Maybe they got the leadership, maybe they got a good clubhouse presence, but they got barely a 700 OPS guy. Hasn't been the same since the old Bang Bang extravaganza out in Houston. Don't believe me, look up his stats. But I don't think they are gonna touch any Houston goods, not guys from their, development anyways. But I do agree with you that they're gonna spend some dough. And I think that they could pivot to another big bat. I think they saw Teoscar Hernandez shining and go, man, we got to get a guy like that again. We let him go. Anthony Santander. You'd look good over in
I could see
Toronto.
that. Santander also potentially teams like the Royals would make a lot of sense for Santander because they would be in his price range. And a guy like that can hit 40 homers. He's going to hit 230, but he'll hit 40 homers for you. That's a team on the come up. That would make a lot of sense to put him around Bobby Witt. I would like that one a lot. But I like that. Santander to the Blue Jays, that's interesting.
Yeah. And lastly, before we get to the big fish, what do you think about old Max Fried? Where do you think he's going?
Okay, so I consider Max Fried kind of a big fish here. I think
do too.
I think that there's some argument here that there might be some teams that would prioritize a guy like Max Fried over a guy like Corbin Burnes. And that's not a knock on Corbin Burnes. Just this is a lefty. They're hard to come by.
Champion.
He's a guy that's, been proven that he can. Burnes can throw a lot of innings too, obviously. But Fried, there might be some injury concerns. This one is so weird to me because I think he wants to go to the Dodgers, in his heart of hearts, because he's an LA kid. He was out partying with the Dodgers with Jack Flaherty and God, who else was it? They were all partying with the Dodgers. Max Fried was there, so a lot of people started speculating that he's going to go there. Yeah, he was literally. Somebody photographed him at a valet.
Yeah, no, Fried and what was the other buddy that played
Flaherty and Giolito? They all pitched together at Harvard Westlake.
Yeah, and I saw Fried and Giolito were at Dodger Stadium to watch Flaherty pitch, and I guess they did it when Fried was in the World Series. They'd went out and watched him pitch and shit. That's cool. That's super rad. Where do you think
Max
Fried's going, dude?
It's an interesting one because I would say people are ruling out the Dodgers a lot. I think that he's definitely in play for the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers are in play on all these starting pitchers. Brandon Gomes and Friedman have said that they want frontline starting pitching. So it really all depends on what happens with Sasaki here. That's going to determine a lot of this. Padres are definitely a team to watch for Max Fried.
Yep.
They are 100%. They are 100% going to try to sweep this Ohtani dynasty out from under us in any way that they can. They have to. Follow it up. Musgrove is getting older. Darvish is getting older. They're going to need somebody to sort of carry the torch in that post-Darvish era for this starting pitching staff. And who knows? Are they going to re-sign Dylan Cease when he becomes a free agent after next season? So. I don't think so either. I think Max Fried makes a lot of sense for San Diego. He's also close to home. I think that's definitely a team to watch here. And again, I'm going to throw it out there: Cubs. I think that they're gonna try to get a starting pitcher. So I could see that happening. But if I'm being realistic, I think it's like 4 or 5 teams that are going to be in on all of these starting pitchers. It's going to be Mets, Red Sox, Cubs, Dodgers, Padres.
Phillies are going to be in.
There's like 6 or 7.
Yeah. I think
so
Baltimore will be more active than we suspect as well. But
yeah, but I think that they'll make one splash,
Totally.
So,
but that leads to the big kahuna, dude. 25-year-old Juan Soto.
Wait, who are you? What about you for Fried? Before we move on, Fried.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Did you
go? Where I really think he goes, honestly, I think he goes with the Phillies, dude. I think he fucking goes to the rival Phillies. I think they make him an offer. And I think he goes, look what we got going. We got Bryce. You know what I mean? They're going to have Schwarbers coming off the books here pretty soon. They're going to be freeing up some space. Get a veteran arm up there with Wheeler. I mean, dude, that's a nasty rotation, dude. You throw Fried in there.
I think this might be the one place where I've detracted from you here. I think that I just don't see him signing in Philly after playing in the NL East for that long. I think I think he'd more likely go to the Mets.
The Braves are going to insult him and let him go. And then that's where the Phillies are going to be able to go, we can give you that. Fuck.
Well, that's why he might go to the Mets.
Fuck. Maybe. I don't think that's how to play either.
Hold on. My cat is...
Cats, dude. I mean,
all right, let's do it.
He's a cat boy. Come on, cat boy.
Here we go.
No,
this is the big one. This is the big one.
Juan Soto.
Where do we think this guy goes?
I mean, he's got to go. Do you want to say it together at the same time? All right.
Are we going to say the same team?
Let's see. Juan Soto, this offseason, must sign with the 3, 2, 1 Mets.
Dodgers. No, I'm joking. I was going to say Yankees. I
agree. I agree that he has to sign. Like, the Yankees fucking need him because I don't think they make the playoffs without him. But I feel like if the Mets miss on Juan Soto, that this will be like the first, I don't want to say like failure of Stephen Cohen's tenure because there's been a few hiccups. But like I feel like Mets fans have really been like, no, it's all leading towards getting Soto and fucking Lindor together. Like, it'll be all right. Like, later, Pete, like, if we got fucking Lindor, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But on the flip side of that, it would be devastating for the Yankees to lose the World Series, to get just this media shitstorm on you. You can't play defense. You're all fucking losers. You're no good. Everybody's ugly. Fat Joe sucks. And now you lost Juan Soto. Like, fuck.
Oh, dude. If the Yankees don't re-sign Juan Soto, it's going to be serious problems for them. I mean,
well, you touched on earlier how the Dodgers are how their larger play has been like revealed, right? Like, they're not here to win a World Series. They're not here to take over baseball. They're here to take over a continent. You know, they want to be the most popular team in sports. I think they want to be like a fucking, they want to take the mantle from the Yankees of being that like most valuable franchise in sports, you know?
100%. And honestly, like people are saying that the Dodgers are going to be. I know I keep saying this, like they will be in on Juan Soto. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think he's a
However,
good fit.
whatever you may think is that like Friedman and them, they like to target guys when they're young. They only want to sign you to like a long-term deal if like you're young enough that it makes sense. Like Ohtani and Mookie were like exceptions to the rule, but like Freddie, they got him on like a 6-year deal when he was
Kind of a
32.
sweetheart deal.
Yeah, like kind of a great deal. Like Juan Soto, I do think the Dodgers are going to be in on him, but I think ultimately it's just going to be driving the price up. I think it's going to be Mets or Yankees.
I do want to throw the
personally
Giants in
want
there
to
again. I do think the Giants are going to throw a lot of money at
Sure.
Soto, and I really think they might knock the Yankees out of contention because I think they'll offer more, and then I think Cohen will ultimately just go, fuck it, let's get it done. Here's the extra 25 mil.
It's a tougher park for Soto to play
It is.
in San
Yeah.
Francisco. And who needs him more, the Mets or Yankees? I think they need him the same. I think that if the Yankees are unable to keep Soto,
more.
yeah, well, I think if the Yankees are unable to keep Soto, it's a colossal failure that we're going to see chaos in Yankee land. We're going to see chaos because it's a massive deal for them. I mean, Aaron Judge is 32, 33 years old. Garrett Cole's like 34, 35 years old now. Like they are running out of time with this version of the Yankees. It's a big problem. Like I'm not saying we're going to start seeing like Judge trade scenarios, but I am saying we're going to start seeing that discussion taking place where people are going to start panicking. I think the Yankees are going to find a way to get it done, but like I don't think it's going to be because they outbid the Mets. I think the Mets are going to keep outbidding them, and I think no matter what happens, it's going to be just like a choice, like which team do you want to play for? And I just kind of feel like he's going to have more opportunity to have like a greater legacy with the Yankees than he would with the Mets. You know, I just think that's what it comes down to is like if you can win a World Series with the Yankees, your legacy is just.
Let me ask you this, because this was the little caveat to all these players signing with an NL team. Do you think there's any choice to maybe wanting to avoid the Dodgers and go, you know what? I'll stick to an AL team like the Yankees, a powerhouse who's going to give me these perennial opportunities to get to the playoffs, but I'll have an easier path to actually get to the World Series because I won't have to beat the Dodgers. Let the Padres deal with it, you know, fucking whatever. Like, I'll go to the Yankees and fucking I'll see in for fucking Game 7, whatever.
I mean, there's definitely. I do think that happens like in the NBA a lot. I know that like with LeBron James, there were teams, there are players that would go sign when he was with the Heat or with the Cavs. People would go sign with like teams in the West so that they could avoid having to go through that gauntlet. You know,
I believe they call that the Mayweather defense.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I do think there's like an element of that, but I would say baseball is it's just such a crapshoot when you get to October, man. It doesn't matter. I don't know, man. Like I really don't know. Like I think it's going to be super interesting. I hope whatever happens, I hope it's really painful for both teams.
Yeah,
I hope it's just going to be like a real painful scenario.
So what was your final decision though? You think he's going Yankees?
I think Yankees, but I'm also like this is my. I'm not 100% sure on it, to be honest. Like, this is going to be a tough one for Yankee fans. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow if they can't keep him. Like, and I think there's a chance the Mets are going to just outbid no matter what. So
yeah, I think in order of likelihood, it is third place Giants, second place Yankees, first place got to be the Mets, dude. They overperformed this year. I think they got a little taste of that fervor. What oh man, what a fucking October Mets feels like.
You raise an interesting point. Maybe Stevie Cohen and the Mets have a strategy where they're going to say, hey, we're going to sign somebody big right off the bat before we get to Soto. Like if they could somehow get like a Corbin Burnes off the board in like the next like 3 or 4 weeks, then Soto might start looking at the Yankees like, Huh. I don't know. Maybe maybe it's a little better over there
Like that
in
meme,
Queens.
just
Yeah,
the guy-
exactly.
yeah.
He's looking at the girl walking by. Exactly. Yeah, that might be the case. So
Man,
Stevie might have to do a little bit of finagling, early dealings, so to speak.
he'll sell a couple Bitcoin, dude. He'll be all right. But Jeff, that's how they play it in the Deferred Collusion game, dude.
Let's. We're gonna do another episode. We'll do a few more free agents. We'll react to free agent signings. I do want to talk a little about Pete Alonso. So maybe on like next episode we
Yeah.
can talk about him and where he goes.
There's some
but yeah, man,
goofy
that was-
stuff from the World Series, like celebrations and interviews we want to touch on. Just laugh at some drunks, but some other fun stuff, some topical stuff, but
Yep.
slick stuff, neat stuff, whatever.
And if any of our new followers, any of the people out there that want to, have some questions, want us to talk about certain topics, let us know.
Yeah, like I got a bunch of opinions about Anthony Rendon. Gonna have to actually like earn his spot, or so Perry Manazian says, the GM of.
Well, they just got
Atlanta
Jorge,
Angels.
dude. They just got Jorge Soler. They got a fucking World Series MVP, man. They're good. They're set. They're good to go.
Dude, Angels AL West champs. You heard it here first. Deferred Collusion.
Hell
With
yeah.
you as always, Jesse Rowe. I'm Branden Bollinger. We are your co-hosts, co-people, co-partners, friends. Welcome. Thank you. We love you. Like us, subscribe. Tell your friends if they're into this kind of thing, if they're into baseball, what have you, into bullshitting, into buddies, into friendship.
Oh, yeah,
We're
bro.
all into that. Let's spread it around. Be good, people. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you soon.
Juan Soto, 2025 Dodgers. We're out.